Hello, indie authors and patron supporters. It's good to see you again. It is May 2019, and this is your May monthly connection video. I am sitting in this wonderful sunlight in this tiny little corner of my office. And I know I said that I wanted to have these videos not be in my office where I normally record my podcast videos, but I'm just chilling in this little sunny corner, and two of my dogs are just sleeping on little floor and dog beds, and everybody's calm and quiet. So I thought I would just stay here and not disturb the status quo. So today, I guess I wanted to fill you in a little bit on something that's been kind of like on my mind, sort of clawing at my mind and not letting me work on other stuff because I'm focused on it instead of, what I should be focusing on. Not should. I try not to shit on myself or anyone else, but so I haven't told anybody else but my husband this. And one other person that has said no. So I am comfortable telling you guys because, it's not going to get out from you guys. So I'll just go ahead and say it because I didn't want to, not jinx it, but I didn't want to say anything until I was ready. But so I'm in the Eugene, Oregon area. There is a local chapter of a writing organization called Willamette Writers. And I have been a member for I don't even know how many years. When I moved to Eugene, I discovered them. And I've pretty much been a member ever since, though there were a couple of years where I didn't go to the meetings. And I, in like 2010, became one of the co-chairs of that chapter and started it's a volunteer position. So, I helped get the speakers for the monthly meetings, and there's a host of things to do when you co-chair or chair one of these chapters. So I did that. It's a year-round position, and then I would get comped tuition to an annual writing conference in Portland, Oregon that I quite liked. And so I did that for 7 years. And then I stepped down in, I think it was 2017, must have been because it was 7 years, 2017, 2018, something like that. And I wanted to spend more time teaching and discovered how much I really loved doing that. So I was spending more of my time developing classes and stuff like that. But so the meetings are the first Thursday of the month, and I went to the May meeting and just was thinking about how much I missed being a part of the chapter in a different way than just being an attendee. So I talked with the co-chair, who turns out to be the only chair because her co-chair ended up having to leave. And so I'm really seriously thinking about doing this again. But the reason I stopped was so I would have more time to work on my author business. So I'm concerned. I chronically, traditionally, historically, I have to battle it every day to not take on too many things, because then I half-ass everything, and then I'm not satisfied with myself, and I put on too many high expectations, and it just becomes this, I don't know, I dig myself a hole, and I'm really trying actively to say no to more things and say yes to the right things. And so I was really trying to decide if this was a bright, shiny new thing, or if it was, no, I really miss doing this and I want to be a part of this again. So I've I actually did, I don't know if I told you this. I did tell you this. I think I told you this in a personal update on the podcast, but I heard Jay Thorne talking to Carolyn Donahue about Story Arcana, that book about tarot for writers and how to use tarot for, like, if you get stuck in a novel, and where to go, how to get unstuck by using tarot, which I thought sounded fascinating. So I went and bought a tarot deck, and I used it for the first time, a reading for myself to figure out if I should or should not do this Willamette Writers chair thing again. And it was really interesting. I used the tarot deck in a way that I've never used oracle cards before. And so that was really interesting. Basically, what I did was I would draw a card, and instead of reading in the little book that comes with it, by the way, this is the tarot deck. And I'm hoping that before I post this, before I upload the video, I'll be able to get it so that it's not mirror image. Because right now I'm looking at it. Oh, and it's also upside down. Dreams of Gaia Tarot, which apparently is not a standard tarot deck. I didn't know because I've never done tarot. But anyway, I really liked the art work on the cards, and that, I don't know, drew me to it. So that's why I chose that one. Anyway, so I did the reading, and instead of reading the little book that came with the deck, I just got a notepad out and I studied the card and just was writing down what I saw in the card physically, and also if anything kind of came to me like, oh, there's this thing, and to me that represents blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of like did my own reading, which Story Arcana by Carolyn Donahue, which is Caroline. See, I just double checked. Caroline Donahue. I have it up there on my standing desk, which isn't really a standing desk, by the way. It is a buffet from my great grandfather. I'll show it to you with, I don't know if you can see it's kind of too big to do that. And then you also see all of the other things that are in there too. The boxes are, I'm organizing. And we have a studio in the back part of the house that we had always intended on being an art studio, because when we first moved into this house, my oldest still lived with us, and they were a visual artist, did drawings and not so much paintings, mostly drawing and marker drawings and pencil drawings and ink drawings, and also just like sewing. And so the sewing machine was out there. And my husband is a printmaker and also draws. And I like making books by writing stories, but also I like doing the bookbinding. That's really fun for me. So I have a bunch of paper and glue and stuff like that. And yeah, so we just thought it would be a nice art studio for all of us to use. And it instead became kind of a hodgepodge of, well, it became kind of more like a storage unit because we don't have a garage, we just have a carport. So it became a mixture of, that's where all our tools went, and that's where the boxes went that were unpacked, and then it became a repository for all these like pieces of paper that we're just collecting throughout the rest of our lives, like mail that we never opened and stuff like that. But anyways, we're trying to create more of an office-y space out there so that my husband can make art out there and work out there if he's working from home, and that sort of thing, instead of using the kitchen table. But in the meantime, I have pulled all of the things out of that room that are actually mine and brought them into my office here so that he can own, the studio out there. And my oldest doesn't live here anymore, so it's just him and I most of the time. Occasionally my youngest stays with us when his dad is out of town. Yeah, my son's 18 and he's a senior in high school, and he still needs someone to wake him up in the morning or he won't go to school. What a drag. Parenting teenagers is its own weird thing. But anyway, thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. I really am super touched that you believe in me enough and are interested enough in helping me reach my dreams and helping me help other authors. And thanks for letting me vent about, this possible other way to help authors. I just don't want it to take away from, if I get stressed out and overwhelmed, then it's not that I shut down, but I kind of shut down and don't, I just retreat and stay at home and Netflix and play with my dogs and stuff. And so I don't work when I get overwhelmed. I just kind of have to pull back from everything. And so I have to be careful about what I take on. And so that's why I'm really struggling over whether or not I should do this. Because a faulty mantra that I find myself saying is, how hard can it be? Yeah. So whenever I hear myself say that to myself, red flags and alarm bells just ring, because that's usually the precursor to getting myself into a huge amount of trouble. So I haven't caught myself saying that about this, and the tarot reading was positive, and I have been missing it, and I do think it's a great way to stay connected to the local writing community, and the independent bookseller community. And so I think I'm going to do it. But now I just need to find somebody that will help me do it so that I don't get to that overwhelm stage. So anyway, I think I'll close up this video. I hope it was interesting enough to get inside the mind of an author, and it's, kind of part of author life too, a little slice of author life. Thanks so much for joining me here, and I'll see you next month in the next connection video. Don't forget to listen to the podcast. I'd love feedback on that, by the way. I know it's a baby podcast, and it's the first time I've done podcasting, so I know it's crusty and raw and, not super polished. So if you have any suggestions on how to make it a better podcast, or if there are things that you would like to hear me say, talk about and address in the podcast, please let me know. You can contact me here on Patreon. Just send me a message, or you can direct email me, or leave suggestions on the podcast comments section. So I'll see you next month. Bye.